Throughout this pandemic, people have learned to adapt in incredible ways. That's certainly true for one local woman who's gone from running a home daycare to sewing and sending masks all over the country. KPAX's Megan Mannering has our story.
Normally, Vita Anderson runs a daycare out of her home in East Missoula. But is anything really normal nowadays?
We closed our daycare and kept our fingers crossed that we would be able to stay afloat until we could reopen.
When Governor Bullock shut down the schools in March due to COVID, Vita and her husband knew they would probably need to put a halt to the daycare operation until at least June and find another way to make ends meet in the meantime.
With years of sewing experience and a demand across the country for protective masks like these, Vita knew what she needed to do.
20 days straight of sewing 14 hours a day, no joke.
At the start, Vita was coordinating mask making and donations for a Facebook group called Crafters Against COVID-19. But once the CDC changed its recommendation for masks to be worn by everyone in public, she started selling them through her online crafting shop.
And then it just kind of took off. Then we were so busy we couldn't sew fast enough.
All of a sudden, requests were coming in from all over the country.
So we've sent them a lot to New York, Brooklyn, the Bronx. We've sent them to Florida, Texas, Indiana, a lot to California, a lot to Seattle.
And amid the chaos of what has now become a mass sewing operation, Vita has enlisted the help of her 2 teenagers and her husband, making this time even more memorable than it already is.
I taught my husband how to cut the fabric, get them all prepped that way. I taught him how to serge, the first step, and then he has got carpal tunnel syndrome now from all the ironing.
Mask by mask, Vita is determined to get her family through the pandemic.
The masks definitely have been a blessing, and they have kept us from having to go into our savings and kept us afloat without having to worry. We went from being super worried to being super busy and no time to worry.
In Missoula, Megan Mannering, MTN News.
Vita will be selling her masks at the Clark Fork Market this weekend, and she'll be set up at the entrance on Patty Street. You have to wear a mask if you go to the market, so be sure to swing by and pay Vita a visit if you don't have one.